What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Commissioner We've Got a Problem. This week we hold, someone who's doing a lot of things in our league that no one else is doing. So I'm excited to have him on and learn about his secrets. And I'm not talking about Avery.
Okay.
But she did not like that, and so she's out of here. But yeah, Zach, welcome aboard. Nice to have you. I am glad to. I guess we had Levy on, but I'm glad to have some more people who haven't won championships because last week they were mean to me. Well, I know you were going to be mean to me, but
do I bring such a presence to the podcast that we've got to weigh it out with some losers and winners?
I wouldn't say it's a presence. It's just more so like you have something on your resume that I don't have on mine, and I don't like that.
Well,
yeah. Well, that's true. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I was telling you guys last night, I think this will be good therapy for me because not a lot of things have gone my way, at least on paper.
I can't wait to talk about this last season. We got to catch up to it first and some other things, but man, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, I think, besides being one of my arch nemesis when it comes to trades, I think your seasons are very interesting. Last one in particular, but we're going to walk it all the way back to 2021, the inaugural season of our league. So I'll share my screen so you guys can see it too. But
are we not going to ask? We're not going to ask Zach if there's any life updates or anything he wants to share. We're just going to skip that for him.
You're right, Logan. I forgot to pull up the agenda. Zach,
no, I didn't prepare any of that, so we could just skip that.
No. This is the most important part of the podcast: is seeing how you're doing. How are you doing? What's new? If I'm not living in Dallas, 10 blocks away, Logan, what would I not know?
Oh, jeez.
It's farther than 10, probably.
Oh, sorry, 5 minutes.
I've never even walked to Logan's house before. That's on my bucket list before either one of us
I rode my electric skateboard to your house once.
And he showed up bloody and disheveled.
Yeah, I did. I fell at the end.
Yeah. For those who don't, I bought a house a couple of years ago on Farmers Branch, and then Logan bought a house 2 minutes from me. And so that's fun. I got a roommate last fall. He lives here. I'm no longer in this house by myself, and I think that's a net positive thing, totally. So that's been fun. I just celebrated 6-year anniversary at my job,
wow,
which is nuts.
Wow.
Lincoln Capital. That for those who are wondering,
they're not a sponsor,
but they can be.
Not
There's
yet,
room.
but spring sales, Lincoln Capital, buy one loan get one free. So, and those who are interested, small business loans, you know where to find me.
We're afraid of shadow banking on this podcast.
Shadow banking, non-bank lending, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same. Yeah. So those are a couple big things. Got some trips coming up this year, which will be fun. I'm going back to Iowa for the first time in probably 5 years. I know.
Dude, say hi to Caitlin
this summer. Caitlin. Oh, Clark. Yeah. I respect women's sports for sure. I know. I totally know. No, well, she went to actually Iowa University. I was praying for her downfall, and
sure.
what got it as an Iowa State
fan yourself.
Exactly right. Go State. It's my grandparents' 65th anniversary, and we'll be up there. And the whole family, like my sister and her family, all 12 of her kids are driving up there. It'll be chaos, but it'll be fun. Also going to Pinehurst 2 weeks after the U.S. Open on a boys trip, golf trip. So that'll be a good time. Outside of that, though, that's nothing really crazy, man, in terms of life updates.
Where's Pinehurst
again? Just
again?
Keep on keeping on. That's one of the Carolinas. North Carolina?
Okay.
I think maybe South Carolina.
They all
one
the
of those
names
Carolinas.
are pretty exotic, but I can never remember where they're at. What's the one? It's not Malibu, south
Pebble
of San
Beach.
Fran.
Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach? That's the one I always forget.
Pebble Beach. Yeah, that's if you want to pay $800 for a 7-hour round, definitely look no further.
It's
Wow.
it's right by Monterey. It's a beautiful. When we visited Monterey, I remember seeing Pebble Beach. Man, this is beautiful.
I'm playing Torrey Pines in a couple weeks.
That'll be fun.
Second time?
Local,
First time?
on your locals discount.
That's right. I think it's like $60. It's amazing.
Dang.
What are you
So
shooting
cheap.
these days?
How high can a handicap go?
Above? Or are you shooting?
I think technically it tops out at double bogey every hole. So that'd be
think
plus
double
36,
par,
I guess.
Double
I'm
par.
a way better golfer then.
Or a 36 handicap.
Double par.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Okay. Yeah, there you go. You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think I've gotten much better.
And this is
over the years.
Master Sunday, too. There's lots of golf on this weekend.
That's right. Staying
That
relevant.
was fun. Exactly right.
Well, awesome, Zach. I obviously enjoy seeing you every time I get to visit Dallas, being so close to Logan. Got board games galore going. So, yeah, glad you're doing well.
Hey, thanks, man. You too. I'm excited to hear your episode. You keep teasing the things that are going on in your life and your team, but then we never actually hear anything. It's always, we'll talk about that later.
Justin's nervous.
I am nervous. There's just so much skeleton in the closet that I don't want to look at it.
That's true. I just like
Sure.
the anticipation is growing like your hair, so it's hard
Like
to
a weed, man. Like a weed.
Yeah. Your hair or the anticipation.
I don't know. You tell me. But
I'll save it for
I'm just building up the suspense for Corey. Corey, if you're out there.
That's
Have
your
you,
white whale.
have you made contact with Corey?
No, but, we're averaging 9 listeners. And I'm assuming I don't
Hey.
count as one because I don't listen to the
Pretty
episode.
I'm pretty sure you do.
But I don't listen to the episode. Like, I post it.
Okay.
And I'm
okay.
assuming you don't listen to it, Logan.
Yeah, I don't listen to it.
And then I'm assuming the person that's on the podcast doesn't listen to it as well. So, like, for example,
I'm
last
100% going to go back and listen to this, so you
Yeah,
might be
have,
wrong on that.
You need to play this in your office when it launches. Everyone has to listen to it in your office.
People are going to be so impressed. I was on a
With your
podcast
trades,
this weekend. We're doing the water cooler talk.
Anyway, so maybe Corey is listening. Corey, if you're out there, let me know. Okay.
Yeah. You're probably going to have to go to North Dakota, in person interview.
I was talking to Justin about getting North Dakota on as our fantasy retreat.
That'd be sweet.
That would be interesting.
Is Mount Rushmore North Dakota? Is that where that's
Interesting
at?
for sure.
That's South Dakota, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Does North Dakota
Yeah.
have anything cool besides Corey?
It's Canadian border.
I'd hardly consider that in North Dakota.
I think that's a good. I mean, that's more of a philosophical question, I guess.
We'll ask Corey when he comes on.
When he's on, it sounds
Yeah,
good.
there you go.
All right.
Enough about Corey. This is my podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Well, let me show you what I'm talking about. I alluded to earlier. We're going to talk about your 2021 season, and particularly the startup draft. So I just like to do a little backstory of
Oof, man.
what your team looked like, to start this thing off. So I'll highlight your draft. Zach, you went RB heavy, which
I
in
sure
Dynasty
did.
is surprising.
I just thought, I think that year, Derrick Henry's ADP and redraft was like a top 2, top 3, especially kind of standard scoring. We were maybe doing quarter point PPR.
Yeah, that's right.
And I knew he wasn't going to be done in a year or two. So for me, man, that's good value. Let's just go for it. I don't know. And then Nick Chubb was there as well.
Wow.
So
Chris Carson.
thought that'd be fun. Chris Carson. Now, that's a story in and of itself, I suppose. But
We'll talk more
I don't
about
know
Chris
if he saw the
Carson.
field one time on my team.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a full feature on all of Zach's trades.
Yeah. Man, so good. So many good trades. Man, Chris Hedman.
And then the one thing that haunted me that draft was I made one heart pick, and you could see it's that 4th pick there where it snaked backwards going from 12 to 11. I knew I needed a quarterback, and Josh Allen was right there. You know what? I'm gonna make one heart pick. It'll be Dak Prescott, and I picked him. I don't know, 2 picks before Josh Allen, and I think we'd be having a much different conversation had I just drafted Josh Allen that day instead of Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
Man,
Yeah,
That's brutal.
That's a tough one.
Hey,
That's a tough one looking back on it.
and I appreciate that. I think it's important to go with your heart, and I'm glad you did that, Zach. So I think personally it was a great pick.
Wow.
Looking at this draft, hardly any of these guys are still on my team. I don't know if that's normal or not.
That is wild. I mean, seriously, I can only see
Dak.
many people. Dak,
yeah.
Nick Chubb, and that's it.
Those are the only two?
Yeah, that's
2 out of 22 picks are still on your team.
He ditched a lot of those this year.
But yeah, I mean, you guys were just. I think I have the Broncos defense. You can't. I still have Broncos defense.
3. Unfortunately, we still have defenses. That's right.
And I mean, you guys are giving me a hard time. Like, there's a reason why my team looks completely different now.
That's true.
And
you made
the
some
record
good
speaks
moves.
for itself.
But what was 2021? What was the end of season?
Yeah, let's go take a look.
record?
So, the standings as they ended that season, it looks
This looks like our current season.
Oh, you're right. Must have reset. Here we go. We'll get there. The season, as it ended, year 1, you ended up 9th place, 5-8 record. And at the time,
That's tough.
we were standings was the pure way to do our to set our draft for the next season. So you got the 4th pick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what you did with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I traded it for 2 first-round picks. Moved back twice in the first-round pick.
Let's go take a look.
first
You
round
traded
that
to
year.
one Josh Levinson. He picked Kenny
Yeah,
Walker.
so it gave me.
I think it was-
Yeah, he sure did. That would have been a good addition.
Ooh, I remember this one.
At the time, so you would have got Kenny Walker, but that would have been on top of Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry.
Derrick
Did you still
Henry.
Chris Carson at that time, or had you already traded him?
You
I think he was gone and like retired by this point.
But you,
yeah,
so you'd
prior
already,
to this
you'd already
draft,
traded him.
I think in the like trade deadline the previous year, I traded Chris Carson, who hadn't played a single down like all year, I don't think, to Riley for a first-round pick.
That's wild.
And he ended up like 2 weeks later having to retire because of his neck issues, and it was, I mean, all time like selling at the highest point because he was supposed to come back like imminently. His return was imminent. I was out of it. Was trading someone, a running back for depth, and yeah, Riley kind of got the short end on that one.
Man,
But-
like I can't think of a more lopsided trade given the circumstances and what happened. Like, of course, we can talk about other
Yeah.
trades, but like this one, the fact that the dude never played,
Yeah,
epic.
Well, that wasn't even on any of our radars either. Like when it came through, it seemed like a fair trade.
yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
like
I
2
think
weeks
we were
later, I was
both
like,
pleased
wow.
with it at the time.
Epic. Jeez. So that was a tough burn for
Indeed.
Riley. I'm sure he regrets that one. You made some other deals. I sent you
Mm-hmm.
Gus Edwards for Devontae Parker. Gus Edwards
Yeah.
is still scoring touchdowns like nobody else. So
Hey, he just RB1 in San Diego or
Los
whatever,
Angeles.
LA.
Yeah, that's right.
Gus Edwards got me a lot of value this last year with one of the other co-hosts of the show.
That's right.
He did.
So that was definitely worth it.
Yep.
For Devontae Parker. I mean, come on.
And then you moved Chase Edmonds and Kadarius Toney. Chase Edmonds was relevant at that time. He was still in the Cardinals. He was backing up. Who was he backing up? Was it James Conner there yet? Or
It
someone else?
was.
Dang.
That's
That was a good trade for DJ Moore.
It was. Yeah, this one, I remember thinking
I-
this one at the time was in the favor of Corey, but DJ Moore, still going.
dude. DJ Moore.
Zach loves
that was
DJ
another
Moore.
kind of that was kind of tragic as well because if you looked at DJ Moore's season that year, I traded him after week 4. He had like not scored less than like 15 or 20 points at any point that season. And then at the week I traded him, he proceeded to put up single digits for like 8 or 9 straight weeks, something crazy like that. And Kadarius Toney was kind of popping off as well. I remember it got a little bit of fire. DJ Moore never panned out while he was on my team at any point, and
That's
it
tough.
just was.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
sad.
DJ Moore
'Cause I was
kind
really
of a
high on him.
disappointment until this year.
The Panthers in general
Yeah,
are
was really high on him
tough
too.
team.
But I think my initial trade to Corey, I think I offered him like a first round pick, maybe 2 first round picks.
What?
And then he sent me the one this offer that we actually ended up taking. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Gee, I didn't know that.
Because I just don't think Corey values like draft picks at all. So fun fact about Corey.
Yeah. So at the end of that season, you had some new faces. You had DJ Moore. You must have picked up Deontay Foreman, a couple other guys. All right.
For sure.
I see some.
Yeah, and those rookies, Sky Moore, obviously kind of the stinker of the bunch. And then the other two guys, kind of just injury purgatory.
J-Mo.
Yet to see. I still only have Christian Watson of those three. Shown flashes of brilliance.
You have Sky Moore still?
Can't seem to stay on the field. I do still have – oh, that's true. I do still have Sky Moore.
It feels like you don't
Probably
have
not
him,
much
but you
longer.
do still have him.
That's right. You got Shakir.
Oh, and then
Shakir, all right.
That's true. But I've picked him up and dropped him several times since that draft. But he's always kind of been like my back pocket sleeper. Like that's somebody I've believed in since I drafted him.
Jags now, right?
No, he's still in Buffalo.
No, he's like wide receiver 1 in Buffalo right now.
That might be.
They don't have anybody.
For now, at least.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is on the is on the Jags.
So 2022, you had those 3 first-round
bummer.
picks. You bet the house on rookies. How'd it
all
go?
Rookie wide receivers. Well, one of them
than the
didn't
last
play
year.
that whole year.
No, it's
Oh
consistent.
yeah, was that Jameson Williams?
Jameson Williams didn't play. Like I think he played 1 or 2 games at the end of the season.
Year, that's right.
And then Sky Moore, Signs of Life, and then I think Christian Watson. Maybe this was the year he
he went hot. He was hot at the end of the year.
Yeah, man, he had like a stretch of like 6 weeks where he was averaging like 20, 25 points or something nuts.
Yeah, there it is.
So that was cool and fun to see. But yeah, that season, I think I had like several points against. I remember running the numbers first 2 seasons. I think my points for was like only 30 or 40 points less than Logan, but he had like 6 or 7 more wins than me in the first 2 seasons combined. So just a lot of like, I don't know. I just had a ton of like close matchups that didn't work out in my favor. Like I would lose like regularly, like 2 or 3 point matchups. And then I just truly unfortunate. I mean, yeah, look at that. Logan's points against that year was 1191. Mine was 1346.
And your points for was higher. You were 20,
yeah.
26
I mean, that's still
points
not
higher.
Great points for. Still, still an average.
That
team
20
at best,
that 2022 year, I was blessed.
Yeah, per usual.
That just unlucky. It's kind of the nature of fantasy football. But it was a bummer because I've wasted now at this point 2 years of Derrick Henry. And so I don't remember I don't think I was as trade heavy that season because I just was trying to stand pat with the team that I had. And
these yellow ones are all
freaking
Zach's,
winning
right?
games.
Yeah, so we got a few. So it looks like you made that draft trade that you talked about, the trading back from 104 to 110 and 112. We already talked about that. You ended up trading away DJ Moore. Do you remember who it was for?
I think he lost. You said he won all his trades.
This is the one that I think he lost.
Yeah, he lost that one.
DJ Moore again at this time has still not really done anything. Like didn't do anything last year.
In the moment, that's a win. Just like the DJ Moore trade for him looked like a win in the moment. This looks like a win in the moment, but retrospectively, that looks like an L.
Yeah.
In hindsight,
Jury's still out on that. We'll see what DJ Moore can do with Caleb Williams this year.
I mean, who'd you? I guess.
I was.
Depends who you draft.
I needed a running back. I think I had some injuries that season too, and I just need some running back depth. And Antonio Gibson seemed like decent value.
So you decided to get the RB2.
And I was coming off of having three rookie receivers, so I thought this would be a good time to get rid of DJ Moore because his value was pretty low at that point too. He was not doing well. Those stinky Carolina Panthers, man, just
they're probably starting Cam Newton again
anything
by that point.
DJ Moore had that He had that like good game with the amazing touchdown at the end of one of the seasons, and the pass was from Cam Newton.
Oh, and he took off his helmet and it got negated. Wasn't that?
Oh,
one?
and they lost it.
That
No,
was
it didn't get
wild.
negated,
Oh my
but it
gosh.
gave enough
Yeah,
of a
that's
penalty.
right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's
And they
15-yard
lost it,
penalty.
yeah.
Missed the extra point.
That was wild.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's good stuff.
Classic. He made 2 more trades with me. One of them was pretty insignificant, but I definitely say you got the better asset. It was
Jared Goff.
Jameis in a second. You sent to me
Yeah.
for Gesicki and Jared Goff, and Jared Goff is doing great.
Yeah, I needed a tight end. And I think Dak was also hurt. I think he was on like a 6-week stretch where he wasn't playing.
Gotcha.
Oh, that was part of that season too. Dak was out for like 6 weeks.
That's right.
And so I was just getting nothing at that was this season. I was actually getting decent production from all my other guys, but I got like nothing out of the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And so I traded for Jared Goff, who then proceeded to stink the 6 weeks that Dak was out. And so the timing, we could never sync up the timing with the holes in my roster.
Speaking of stink, I think Gesicki was key in the stinky tight end bet that I made with Blake that season. So I think the bet was if Cole Kmet scores twice as much as Mike Gesicki, I would get a 2027 third-round pick. And lo and behold, Mike Gesicki did just enough to not get outscored by 2. So
Yeah, it ended up being way closer than I think than any of us thought it was going to be.
it was pretty sad, but hey, we came out on top. And then this one stings, the trade at the top here. You sent Rashad Bateman, who at the time, I think he was sophomore season, maybe even rookie, but a good.
That was sophomore. I remember I had him targeted on our initial draft. He was somebody I was really high on.
Yeah, good prospect, really good prospect.
First round pick.
Exactly. So Hopkins, of course, was coming back from that PED suspension, and he balled out like one game, like week 7 in the season. He's in his age 30 season. I was like, okay, surely this isn't going to keep up. So I bet on youth, and the very next week, Rashad Bateman had a Lisfranc break or something in his foot and was out the rest of the season, and Hopkins kept balling out. I was so mad.
Man. Yeah, that was and that was me trying to make a push too to win some games at the end of the season.
Gosh, that one stings still.
And yeah, that was unfortunate for sure. Like obviously I don't wish ill will upon any players, especially ones I've traded, but yeah, that was another kind of just pretty incredible timing on my end to dump a player.
For sure. Looks like he picked up Zach Ertz too. I know he had a couple of funky seasons where he got
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he got dropped. Russell Wilson was playing terrible.
I drafted Zach Ertz back in the day.
Geno Smith?
You must have dropped him. I think all those guys, top 3 guys right there, I picked up off waivers.
Yeah, you must have.
I dropped Zach Ertz in 2021, and I think someone else picked him up, and then she dropped again.
So yeah, that's how you finished, and then consistent. You got 9th place again. All right.
He went from 5-8 to 5-9. I think we added a game because the NFL added a game. So technically,
that's right.
Technically, you did worse, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well,
Well, the good news is you had another good pick, but unfortunately for you, you did not have that pick. But it might have dodged a bullet.
No, I did have that pick. I had that pick.
Oh, that's
and then
okay. Let's go
leading up to the draft.
A big trade.
Yeah, so let's go.
Leading up to the draft. Leading up to that draft. Oh, had a couple preseason trades there.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So talk about your haul.
Yeah,
here.
that was a pretty fruitful preseason meetings with the gang. Josh at this point, Josh Rich had 8 draft picks that year, and he was not going to be able to use all of them. And he just was looking for roster space. And I think I'd messaged him earlier that offseason, maybe May or June or something, seeing if he'd be interested in moving up a spot. And then I think I was going back and forth with a couple other people and asked again if he would be interested. And then he sent me this offer. He's like, this is the best I could do. And without even thinking, I'm like, yep, I'll do that. I just saw all the things behind it.
Seriously.
And that's we'll do that.
Yeah.
And like obviously the draft picks are nice, having additional just draft assets. But really kind of the underrated part of this was getting Trey McBride.
Yeah, man. That's huge.
Who I was pretty high on the previous draft, but he hadn't done much, partly because being a rookie, Kyler Murray being out, and also being behind Zach Ertz. But man, he sat on my bench most of this last year, but those last probably 6 weeks or so, maybe 8 weeks, he really came to life. And I was starting 2 tight ends at some point just because I couldn't leave him on the bench and my team was really mediocre.
Yeah. For those listening.
But yeah, Trey McBride was really the haul from that one to move down 1 pick.
Yeah.
And had I stayed there, I probably would have drafted Quentin Johnson. I was going chalk. So that was what I was thinking. Ended up with Jordan Addison.
And I think another piece of this trade is I think Josh was expecting me to take Quentin Johnston, and so he thought he was going to be able to get JSN.
I see.
Then I ended up trading out of that spot, and Zach Miller took JSN, and so Josh went with Quentin Johnston.
Okay, yeah, fascinating.
So for those listening,
I think that's exactly right.
The trade that Zach's talking about right now, he had pick 104 because he got 9th again, and he moved back 1 spot. And on top of moving back 1 spot, he got Trey McBride, 3rd round pick, and a 2nd round pick. And they, again, only moving back 1 spot. And then Trey McBride, of course, this past year just blew up, had a great season. So pretty big haul. You made another pre-draft trade. What was that one?
That was with you. I think you remember this one pretty well.
Yeah, it stinks.
This one, so Jameson Williams was supposed to start the season, but he had received a pretty hefty suspension.
6 games.
It was maybe 6 or 8. Yeah, 6 games. And that eventually got, I think, reduced.
Yeah.
But yeah, still, I traded you, Jameson Williams, for my primary target was Alvin Kamara. But I didn't think that was good value for me straight up. So I either wanted draft picks or my Nick Chubb handcuff, which was Jerome Ford. And that ended up being a pretty big deal because Nick Chubb went down and
week 2.
The handcuff. Yeah, I know. I remember exactly where I was when that happened. I was at a Rangers game.
That was gnarly.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
But yeah, you came out ahead on both of those trades. That's for certain. Dang, you made 2 more on that the day after. This must have been the Dynasty retreat.
Oh yeah, and then after the draft, me, Ryan, and it was Zach Miller. We're sitting outside smoking cigars and drinking tequila. We were just talking about the draft, doing whatever, and I was just kind of lamenting about Deontay Johnson, about his previous season, how he just was like a target monger but couldn't get into the end zone. And because I wanted to draft George Pickens the previous year, but I had Deontay Johnson. I can't have both of these guys. And then without even it just I wasn't intending to trade him. Ryan's like, oh, I would trade him for a 1st-round pick. No questions asked. I was like, what? Are you serious? He's like, yeah, I mean, not next year, but maybe in 2025. And that was another one where no questions asked, for sure, I'll do that. And then, I don't think he was Deontay. I think still had a pretty poor season. Poor quarterback play in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But obviously a very talented receiver. Another one of those good receivers, kind of bad situation. Can't keep rostering those guys. Get them out of here.
Yeah, you're the king of moving when you need to move them.
Yeah, I think you had a good draft too that year. I mean, your 1st-round pick ended up being 105 after moving back a spot. You got Jordan Addison. Pretty great rookie year.
He
honestly.
seemed to be
fantastic
the best
year.
Receiver for most of the season until Zay Flowers kind of came on the scene.
The outlook of Jordan Addison, I don't know, but something tells me you'll find a way around that.
You might be biased.
A few weeks ago.
We'll see.
Well, no, I mean,
Oh, that too.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
Tajay
I drafted-
Spears, your handcuff.
Well, I drafted Bryce Young as well. That one's looking tough. I needed some quarterback depth.
It's 1
He's
year.
probably
I
going
feel
to sit
like
on
you
the
can't. I
taxes.
feel like you can't make a call on Bryce Young yet.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I know the Panthers have spent like $300 million in like off-season contracts.
A lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's go check out your season, though. I mean, you've had a history for.
Oh yeah, and then yeah, Tajay Spears. That was a good one too because I drafted up. I think I sent Harlan like 2 second-round picks to do that, and that, like during the draft because I really wanted him, and yeah, that ended up being pretty good.
I want to before we look at the final standings, kind of just do the walkthrough week by week of. I want to hear the flow and like the roller coaster of your 2023 season.
Man, so I remember my thought going into the season. At this point, I have 3, like arguably top 10, maybe even top 5 running backs, and they're all old. Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, who's out the first 3 games, and then Nick Chubb, not as old, but kind of veteran running back. And so my thought was, okay, if I'm 2-1 by the time Alvin Kamara comes back, like I feel really good about my situation. Like I'm gonna go for it, and we'll be competitive this year finally. And hopefully some of these younger receivers will pan out. Like Jordan Addison was a big question mark, and then Christian Watson was looking like a superstar. So I was very, very excited. And then I think the first week. I was watching the Cowboys game with Logan. It was like a Monday night game. It was either week 1 or week 2. And I was watching the Cowboys game with Logan, and I just needed 10 points between Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson, between the two of them, to win. And it was a kind of rainy, gross night, and the Cowboys ended up winning. They beat the Giants by like 40 points, but Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson could not muster up 10 points between the two of them. It was one of the most infuriating, like, watching experience, like, mixed emotions watching experiences, because I'm obviously seeing my beloved Cowboys, railroad a division opponent, but I can't get a stupid fantasy football win. And that just was so infuriating. I was so mad. And I think Logan can probably attest to that a little bit because he was there.
It was
tragic
and hilarious, but from a more personal standpoint, very sad, just wild. It was like I was like watching the joy of like your team destroying this team, but like all of that joy was sapped by the fact you're having such an incredibly disappointing performance from your fantasy players who you really needed to. I was like, oh my gosh, like I hate the idea of just like that, those two feelings like coexisting. It was the heartache I was not jealous of.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. And then the next week, Nick Chubb like rips his leg in half. I'm at a Rangers game. Like our company sponsored a box. We're watching the Rangers game and the football game's in the background. People know that Nick Chubb is on my fantasy football team, whatever. And then watching the baseball game and someone comes up to me and is like, yo, Nick Chubb just died. I'm like, what? And then from there, I just was like, I guess fantasy football is not for me, man. Like, let's just tear it down. And on top of that, Dak was doing really poorly as well. Like, he just, Cowboys were winning football games by like 40 points, but from a fantasy standpoint, they were still the Cowboys were committing to running the ball, kind of doing old school like Jason Garrett, like slow offense, and running the ball, taking time off the clock. And then, I think by the time I decided my season's over, I think I started like 1-3 or 1-4, another bunch of close calls. At that same time, CeeDee Lamb, who's not on my team, but he's on the Dallas Cowboys, who is also my team. He goes up to Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott's like, yo, I need the ball, man. Like, we'll play better. We'll be a better team if you just get me the ball. And then sure enough, like starting week 6, week 7, Dak Prescott looks like he's like an MVP quarterback and puts up some of the most like phenomenal numbers I've ever seen. And so I start the season like 1-5, like 2-6, something like that. Actively trying to tank. I trade away some of these older guys, and we could talk about that in a second. But then Dak Prescott, like single-handedly, is winning me football games. Is scoring like 35, 40 points like every week when I'm trying to lose, and then I keep winning.
It's just not only that, but like Trey McBride and Gus Edwards are also going off on your team.
That's right.
Yeah, like at this point too, I've traded Derrick Henry, I've traded Alvin Kamara. So I no longer have these guys. The guys I filled them with, like Jerome Ford, Gus Edwards, these guys are putting up crazy points too. Everything I tried to do, like the exact opposite thing would happen. Like I try to win games, my quarterback and tight end can't get a combined 10 points. I'm trying to lose games, my quarterback puts up 40 points. It's just one of those things where like I couldn't script it better for kind of just how my time in this fantasy football league has been so far. Like just nothing really seems to go my way on the actual product of like week to week matchups. And so it's just it was very frustrating, but I had lots of fun with the actual like GMing part of this stupid league, making trades and stuff, because I was pretty active in just tearing down my team last season and then just like total rebuild.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah, there's a certain you traded Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry away. Who'd you get for that? Mm-hmm. Or what'd you get for that?
I traded Corey, Alvin Kamara, and Derrick Henry, and I really wanted JT because he was hurt at that time too, and so I got JT and a first-round pick, I think, for Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry. So I think that was really good value for both of those guys are aging running backs, so pretty good value, I'd say. And then I didn't intend to do this, but it kind of worked out where I was able to flip Jonathan Taylor, coming back to my deals with Justin. I traded Jonathan Taylor, Jacoby Myers, and Geno Smith for Puka and a first-round pick.
Man, and
I was ecstatic about that.
What a trade.
Do I need to
defend myself very
here?
much.
You guys just going to take free shots?
Well, let me finish my thought. I was very much in on like, okay, like I'm not going to compete this year, probably not next year either. But if we can target maybe like a rookie, like all-star receiver, then like that's what we should do. And Puka seemed to be the guy, and and that's who I really wanted. And fortunately, Justin was open to it. And I got a first-round pick out of it, too, so that was cool.
Yeah, we talked about this on my episode, but I thought, like, I was at the Arboretum. I remember telling Savannah all day, like, Savannah, like, I need to get on my phone because, like, Zach and I are trying to get this trade done. Like I think it's going to happen. Like, I don't know who else could be offering more than what I'm offering. Like, I'm offering, this is a good package. And then, like, I see a trade go through. I'm like, oh, yes. And then I look at it, it's like, Are you kidding me? Justin traded away Puka in a first. Like, after I've been talking to Zach all day, it's like, I told this girl I love her and she broke up with me.
Here's the thing. When it comes down to it, Logan blew that trade up over a third-round pick.
Ooh.
Hey,
that's the difference. No, that is the difference.
It worked out for me in the end, so it's okay.
It's true. But we had the same trade in principle. And I actually sent it. So it was sent and approved on my end. But then you countered it, and the only thing you changed was adding a third-round pick.
You wanted too much for Russell Wilson, and I couldn't stand for that.
And then I was going to take that trade because, it's still, I think, good deal for both. I think Brock Purdy was part of that package, too. You were going to send me Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go kick the tires with Justin one more time. See if I can dupe him into one more deal.
Dupe.
Yeah, that's an accurate term.
Sure enough.
Well,
we were able to get it done.
Peeking ahead, I'll wait till my episode to defend my choices. But peeking ahead, looks like you duped one more dummy.
I couldn't believe this one either. I couldn't believe how high Logan was on Josh Dobbs. Like, I knew that was a flash in the pan. Like, that was not sustainable.
He had been good for 7 games.
He got traded. He's been on 7 teams in 7 seasons.
Logan Puka Nacua was good for 7 games. I thought it couldn't end too.
That being said, I did make this trade knowing I was getting the less value. But also, I had a good team, but I was in a pit of injuries, and I was like, I need to try to find a way to sustain out. Obviously, I did weigh Josh Dobbs heavier, and I literally had a bunch of quarterback injuries, so I needed a quarterback. I was like, okay, Josh Dobbs could be the guy to get me there. He'd already had a few great games in Minnesota, and I had Justin Jefferson coming back, so it was like, how's this dude not going to be even better when he has Justin Jefferson? But I knew I was getting a slightly worse deal on that when I made that trade.
Sure. And the trade was, by the way, it was Gus Edwards, aging quarterback, probably not going to hold on to that, or running back, not going to hold on to that position for past this season. It was Gus Edwards, Josh Dobbs, and DeAndre Hopkins, who I still think still a good player. I remember reading a GQ article, like Gentleman's Quarterly article, before beginning of last season, and thinking, man, this guy's going to be a freaking all-star. And then, his team stunk. But it was those 3 players for a 2025 first-round pick and a third-round pick.
Hopefully,
I was just looking to get more draft
1.12, though, so basically a second.
But Justin's first-round pick that he traded me ended up being 1.12, so it was kind of best-case scenario for him.
Yeah, it was Christian's pick.
Yeah. I still feel like I'm higher on Gus than I am DeAndre, but you got good value. I mean, that was a perfect trade for where your team was at. Like, you're able to get extremely good value for a bunch of aging players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, dude,
so
the trades you made this season
were
top tier. Like, I don't think any other person made as good of trades. Maybe Logan.
Yeah, I liked Logan's. I was in the car when you and Logan. I was with Logan when you guys made that trade for CeeDee Lamb. I don't think Logan does that trade, by the way. If I'm not there, pressure.
Yeah, I don't know if I do. I very well.
12th hour.
I probably don't.
Because it was like 2 minutes before the trade deadline.
That was stressful. I didn't like that.
That was funny.
We did it.
But kind of takeaways last 3 seasons. And I think kind of props to Dynasty. My team's not been very good. Like, you can see, I still – and this is what stunk about last year, too, is we changed our drafting order. Like, I had the 3rd worst record, but I'm now 6th most points for, and we changed that. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. Gosh.
But, yeah, I still have – I lose a lot of games.
Just to clarify that, we changed – if you don't make playoffs, we do draft by max points 4.
That's right.
So that was a shift. We shifted from straight record to max points 4 for non-playoff teams.
Yeah. And even though Zach finished with a 5-9 record again, consistent, man, consistent. He had 1385.4, which was good enough for the most of the people that did not make playoffs. So he got the sixth pick in this upcoming draft.
As opposed to I would have gotten the 3rd pick. I would have moved up in the draft again. But so frustrating.
Hey, but maybe
I mean yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe later draft picks are what you need. You've had all these early draft picks. It hasn't have success. Now you get a later draft pick. Maybe that's what you need. You just need to draft later. That's your sweet spot.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, all that being said, like, despite my team being really stinky, mediocre, below average at best, I still have a lot of fun doing this league, interacting with people, making trades. And so I think that's props to this type of league that we have. And we have, I think, for the most part, pretty bought-in individuals top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so...
it's funny.
And Justin's always good for a deal. Like, he just needs some action. And so
he doesn't even have to win it. He just wants the hit. He doesn't have to win the trade. He's happy to lose it. He just needs the little dopamine hit.
It's just like an encounter in Scythe. I just need it. But, Zach, I thought this was interesting.
Oh, that's a joke for like 4 of the 8 people that listen to these podcasts.
I mean, 50% hit rate. That's pretty good. No, Christian plays too. It's all good. I thought it was interesting. So I had this team name at one point, but then I decided to go all in, and I changed it. But your team name right now is Super Team 2025. So how does that speak to your hopes for 2024?
That was sort of, I have a recurring bit that has zero payoff where anybody, whispers anything about a player of mine, I'll immediately put them on the trade block as sort of like a conversational piece. I think this was the same kind of vein. Like, you changed your team name, and then I immediately took your team name, Super Team 2025, because there were probably lots of comments that were taking place, and so I just did. I'll probably change that before the season.
I should have copyrighted it.
Because, really original. I have a ton of draft picks, and I don't think I can use them all, so I'll be looking to, I'd like to offload a couple of them for players at some point before the season. But
I'm looking to acquire some picks. So
same.
Well, listen, we can talk offline about that. We can circle back about that. Realistically, probably not going to be competitive in 2024. But I don't know. Dak Prescott might also score 40 points a game for 10 weeks straight. Like, I don't know.
Sky Moore might be relevant.
Really unpredictable. Some of these rookie picks might hit. Like, I don't know. I've got 3 first-round picks this year. So we'll see.
Do you think you get more than 5 wins?
That seems to be the benchmark of what I'm capable of achieving every year. So that would be the goal. To hit. I don't even know if I want to go above 5 wins.
Yeah, you think
just hit 5 wins.
If you get 6 wins, is that like a positive takeaway, or is it not like
that's uncharted?
Yeah, I know. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel excited because you have more wins, or do you feel sad because you have a worse draft pick?
It'll depend on what point of the season I'd get or achieve 6 wins.
Fair enough.
If I'm 8 weeks in and I have 6 wins, the boys are vibing. But if it's like week 15 and I'm getting my 6th win, probably not. Probably not great. Something's probably gone wrong again. So it's all about context,
Yeah,
we'll see. But it would be cool to get more than 5 wins, But it's probably better for the culture and my brand to stay at 5 wins. So we'll see.
Yeah, the people are talking about your brand, wanting to fire the GM.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So, 6 wins, you could consider that a hot take. But if you have any that are spicier, what would a hot take be for your team this year?
For my individual fantasy football team?
Yeah. We've already seen you make a deal in the offseason, which we didn't talk about. Talk us about that one real quick.
Oh, I had forgot about that too. Well, we have a new owner, Wesley, who it took over our dear friend Harlan's team, who I remember at our first draft, he said, I'm going to give this about 3 years, see where I'm at. And then he hit 3 years and immediately, left, jetted. And so, Wesley actually offered me this trade. He offered Zay Flowers for Jordan Addison.
Straight up.
I couldn't, straight up. I think before he made that mega trade with Josh, I was interested in Amon-Ra just because I had a ton of draft picks. Thought maybe there could be something there, but I was never going to match what Josh offered him to get Josh Allen and all that good stuff. So, But we hadn't talked since that trade went down, and then he just kind of out of the blue sent me Zay Flowers for Jordan Addison. And I remember thinking at the end of the season and sort of during the playoffs especially, should I have taken Zay Flowers at 5 instead of Jordan Addison? Because obviously Jordan Addison was quite productive this season with and without Justin Jefferson. So I think he's got a bright future. Zay Flowers... No Kirk, exactly right. No Kirk, Justin Jefferson's still there. I just couldn't resist the ceiling of Zay Flowers, which seems to be a little higher. Probably going to be a little more volatile in that Ravens offense, which will like to, pass or run the ball a lot now that my boy Derrick Henry is out there. But, Yeah, I don't know. It was another chance to get a wide receiver one, and I feel like that's a hard thing to turn down, hard thing to come by, in a pretty, superstar team. Ravens will be competing for Super Bowls, I think, here shortly, and perennially competitive. So I just felt like, I'll definitely do that. I don't even think we discussed it. He just sent it, and I accepted it.
Wow.
And that was it. Yeah.
Man, I need to stop sending trades like that and start receiving them. I don't know how to do that, though.
I feel like I'm usually pretty good about, discussing. Like, I'm a good person to have a conversation with. I'll give you an honest assessment of what I think this trade is, any sort of offer. And I could be realistic and unbiased when it comes to my own players, unlike maybe Logan, who likes to really overvalue his picks.
My players are good. I don't know what to tell you.
What, like Brock Purdy?
Yeah, Brock Purdy. Yeah, top 5 quarterback Brock Purdy or whatever. Top 10 quarterback Brock Purdy.
Oh, top 5 now. Okay.
I don't. Now I have to look at this number every week. Everyone's always talking trash on Brock Purdy, and I have to defend him. Everyone knows he's a good quarterback, but no one wants to value him properly. So, just give my boy Brock
System quarterback.
Give my boy Brock respect.
Listen, no one's a bigger Brock Purdy fan than me.
I am.
I went to that Big 12 championship game. I got COVID when he was in Iowa State. Love Brock Purdy.
Me? I love Brock Purdy. I feel like I do this every week. Brock Purdy finished at quarterback 6.
Not top 5, though.
Plug and play.
His top 6 is pretty good, and he doesn't get respect. So I don't even know how we got started.
Shanahan, man.
You all got me hot and bothered. Hot take.
Yes.
For my team?
For players on your an NFL hot. I guess unless.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I think the Cowboys did exactly what they needed to this offseason. I know a lot of people were real butthurt that they didn't spend any money in the free agency window, but I think also people need to know the Cowboys have been in cap hell for the last 5 years, and they needed one off season where they could just do a hard reset, kind of get that thing back to manageable and stop deferring it. And I still think they've got enough talent in their current rookie contracts, especially with Micah's contract coming up, with CeeDee Lamb's contract coming up. It was unavoidable. And then, of course, my boy Dak Prescott. He's got them over a barrel. I think if he walks this year, he's still on their books next season for $60 million or something crazy. It's the way they've restructured his contract has just been an abomination. But I think this is what they needed to do. And I think they'll hopefully go in the right direction. Keep drafting well, I suppose. But the other thing I think is that the Commanders are going to finish second in the NFC East. Jalen Hurts, not for real. They're getting rid of his play. Not going to have the tush push anymore. I think their head coach is going to get fired.
Wow. And
they're going to be stuck with a Daniel Jones-like contract up there in Philadelphia.
Wow, I like that.
Because he's fake, man. He's not his game's not sustainable. I thought he is what I thought Josh Allen was going to turn out to be, but Josh Allen
doesn't have Stephon Diggs anymore, so he's probably going to fall off a cliff. That's why I got rid of him last year.
We'll see.
Yeah, but I'd fall off the cliff for 4 first-round picks too.
Yeah, but those are my sort of segmented, probably more just NFC East spicy takes.
I like them,
but
I think they're a 6 out of 10 on the spice.
How do you get spicier? Where do you what would you consider a 10 out of 10?
I'll show you in a few weeks, but
okay.
I'll show you. 7 out of 10 would be Logan winning the championship.
Okay,
that's 9.
That's not a hot take.
That's 9.
Well, here's the thing, though. We have to deal in reality.
I think
give something could actually happen.
Right.
I think my take was pretty hot. That I don't even remember his name anymore on my team.
Kyron Williams.
No,
There you go.
Oakland running back.
Zamir White.
Yeah, Zamir White's gonna be a better fantasy running back.
Wait, you don't have an Oakland running? Las Vegas.
Whatever. Sorry, I lived in Oakland, so it's near and dear to my heart. That Zamir White is going to be he's going to have more fantasy points at the end of the season than Josh Jacobs. That was my hot take.
Yeah, well said there, guy.
All right. Well, Zach, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, I think you've played some interesting seasons, and they haven't panned out yet, but Super Team 2025 is looking up. You got some good picks. You got good young players. You've definitely bent me over the barrel when it comes to trades, so that's got to pay off eventually, right?
Yeah,
there's always hope.
I have no doubt that in the next decade you're going to make playoffs a time or two.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, buddy. That really means a lot coming from you, Logan. So
we need a fourth champion.
Take those words to heart.
It could be you. The fourth champion could be you. It's definitely not going to be Logan, so we need someone to step up.
In Zach's history, all Zach has to do is make playoffs and he wins the championship.
Wow.
Wait, yeah, Justin, you want to ask Logan how many fantasy football championships he has in our long-running high school league?
We covered that in week 1. I don't want to keep bringing it up, but
it's the same as, like, I don't know, his daughter. It's 0. He has 0 fantasy
Don't bring
football
my daughter
I have
to
2.
this.
I have 2 in that league.
I made playoffs probably 2 or 3 times more than Zach.
Listen, doesn't matter.
Well,
does not matter.
The truth hurts.
It does. Yeah, it does. I know.
Anyway, Zach, thanks so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. We'll have you on again in the season, but until then, best of luck with your off season. We'll see how your trades keep on getting won somehow, and you'll probably end up botching the picks, but you can always change.
Probably true. Well, indeed. Thank you, boys. This was fun. If you ever, this is a good safe space to talk about fantasy football with no shame. I think that was one of the things that Josh, I listened to his interview a couple weeks ago. He kept saying, "Oh, nobody wants to hear this." It's like that's wrong. If anybody's listening to this, they want to hear this. They came here to listen to this. So this was fun. If you need me on to talk Justin's team, I'm happy to do it. So
yeah, it seems like you know Justin's team better than his because he doesn't seem to know how to deal with his players. So
yeah, it's true, and I'm ribbing people on here, but man. I could get it back pretty easily.
Hey, you're lucky. You won the championship in year 1, so now you can screw over your team every year, and you at least can sit on you can rest on your laurels.
I was the first.
He's got more championships than you and I.
I know.
I just saw my hat. If the Rangers can do it, then anybody can do it, right?
So true.
So there's hope for me.
You said it.
Hey, but thanks for listening, y'all. Let's share this with your friends. Let's get to double-digit subscribers. Like, let's really crank this up. Take it to the next level. Double digit or die. That's my motto.
Yeah.
So
let's try and get some sponsored content too.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get like Stonemeyer Games if you put some of them on the end cap there. Maybe we can get them
I think that really aligns. There's a real merging of markets there. Yeah, but we need at least 10 listeners before we can start getting subscribers. So
that's right.
That's fair.
On that note, thanks, guys. This was Commissioner We Have a Problem, episode 4, talking about Zach's team. Thanks for listening. Be sure to answer the poll down in the notes below. We'll see you next time.
See y'all.
See you, boys.